Coming up are medium haul business class flights really worth the cost in Australia? We check out Virgin from Adelaide to Perth. Welcome back to Finding G-Spots, everyone. Great to have you with me. And today we're going to have a look at another business class flight that we did earlier on this year. And it's coming back from Adelaide back to our home state of Western Australia. So if you've seen some of the channel recently, you'll know that we did go to South Australia for an Easter trip, a lovely holiday we had. And we spent most of the time in Mount Gambier, which is sort of in the southeast corner. It's a fabulous spot and we had a really great time there. Now we didn't just visit Mount Gambier, we also went to the coast to a place called Port Macdonald there on the coast. That was also great, and of course we spent a bit of time in the lovely capital city of Adelaide. Now we've travelled a few times between Perth and Adelaide, and we've done the trip several times, and yes, 3 or 4 times in the last couple of years. And yeah, we've noticed that the prices have come up quite considerably over the last 2 years in particular, but definitely since the pandemic. And it got us thinking about prices and the costs for medium haul flights. Now the trip to Perth from Adelaide takes 3.5 hours. It's a little bit faster when you're travelling east, so it's just under 3 hours. And yeah, my wife and I, pretty much any flight over about 2 hours, we sort of usually like to go business class, and one of the main reasons is because of the extra legroom. Now having said all that, we just recently did a business class flight, quite a short one. I did an episode from it. This is some footage from Perth to Kalgoorlie, and that's just over an hour. Not a flight we would normally do business class, and I don't think it's one that we would do regularly, simply because the flight is very short and I don't think the cost is really worth it. But is it worth it on these longer flights? Well, we'll have a look at the flight today and I'll give you our opinion on that. And we're also flying up to Broome later on this year, and that's a flight of sort of a similar length to this, maybe a little bit less, and it'll be interesting to see how that flight goes as well. So anyway, today's look at the flight starts of course at the Adelaide airport, which I have to say is quite a nice airport. And the flight time, as I alluded to earlier, going to Perth, it's a little bit longer when you fly west, so roughly 3.5 hours. And flying business class, of course, you get to go into the lounge, and I do love the lounge at both ends of this flight. So both Perth and Adelaide have a great Virgin lounge, and there's pretty much all the sorts of foods, drinks and alcohol that you could hope for. Now you'll know that with my reviews I often film the toilets and the facilities. So these are the male toilets at the Adelaide lounge, and the reason I do that is because I think that the cleanliness often reflects the cleanliness of the company and the lounge in general, and I'm pleased to say they were very clean. So like I mentioned, I did enjoy the lounge there. Now here's a look at our plane. It's an excellent viewing area there at Adelaide. It's a Boeing 737-800. Anyway, it's time to board our flight. Now the flight was scheduled to leave at 10:15 in the evening, and that's South Australian time. Here's our first look at the seats. So we're in row 1 right at the front on the right hand side there. So it's not a bad seat to sit in. Now all the business class seats, there's 2-2 configuration, 8 seats in total, all have the tray table there in one of the armrests, so it's not in front of you like in economy. And on the other side you've got storage, some chargers and the seat controls. So we begin our taxi to leave Adelaide for our flight, and I have to say, flying around this April, May, June time, which is most of the flights we've done between Perth and Adelaide, is a great time of the year to fly. The weather once again was beautiful when we were flying, so it's a good time of the year to do a flight. And there's this beautiful ambient lighting, sort of bluey purple color inside the cabin, which I think looks quite nice. Okay, we're ready to take off and fly on our trip. And once we got to cruising altitude, they bring out the meal service, which of course is a dinner service. I think they wanted to get it before it got too late, so I had some rice and chicken there. We also got a little chocolate cake and some cheese and bickies. My wife didn't actually have anything. She reckoned she ate too much on the holiday, so she pinched one of my cheese and bickies there, you can see. So all in all, the standard of the food wasn't too bad. They did come around with some snacks after as well, so we both chose something for that as well. Now once again, I did film inside the toilets. Now business class gets the use of the toilet at the front, so there's only 8 people plus the staff there at the front who use it, but it was sparkling clean, I'm pleased to say. And a very smooth flight, and here we are coming into land. So the flight went off without a hitch, and we landed at around 11:20, so I think we were a little bit ahead of schedule for the time, but yeah, pretty good job by Virgin, I think. And there's us disembarking. So a great flight. Like I said earlier on, I do enjoy flying this time of the year. I can't recall any turbulence on any of the flights really. Anyway, let's get on and rate this as I normally do. So the Virgin Lounge, big fan, 5 out of 5. They always seem to do a great job, and that's also a high standard of cleanliness. So well done. Moving on to the flight, so I did mention, yeah, no turbulence really. It was a beautiful evening. I think one of those perfect nights for flying. And yeah, we've been lucky, so well done. 5 out of 5. Now moving on to the meal service, I thought it was a pretty good standard again. I have been lucky. I've managed to enjoy all the meals that they've dished up, and the snack service was a nice touch as well, so 4 out of 5. And the same for the seats. So, and this is the main reason obviously why we fly business class, because of the extra leg room. You just don't feel so claustrophobic. So yeah, if that's something that you value, then I think you will also enjoy the extra room that you get. Now if we move on to the staff, I have mentioned numerous times, I do think the staff is very well trained there at Virgin, whether it be the lounge or on the flight itself. I can't really fault them. They always do a great job. They're always very friendly and they know their stuff. So well done. Overall, I'm giving this 4.5 out of 5. So a very good service from Virgin. We've been flying consistently with them now for about 3 years. And yeah, we always seem to have a great flight. And to answer the question of whether do I think it's worth it, well, for my wife and I, yes, we do think it's worth it because we do value the extra legroom and space. So I think if you're one of those people who you feel like you do need that extra privacy and extra space, and just the lounge and the meal service, well, they're just the cherry on top. It's certainly not the only reason that we choose to go business class. So it's just whether you can really afford to do it or not, and whether you feel comfortable doing it. At the moment, it's still within our grasp, so we're happy to fly business class. So that concludes our review and our look at that flight there. And like I said, we will be back later on in the year for another flight review when we head up to Broome. We're going up there for Christmas time, so you can look out for that. Otherwise, thanks for sticking around, really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon with more great stuff on Finding G-Spots. Take care out there, and bye for now.